There's something about what you said, Ulla, which I really appreciated, which was this sort of pioneering spirit. And that's what gets me excited, the pioneering sense of exploring. I always wanted to work in those remote, challenging places. And I hope that's what we can do when we discuss the environment. I hope, like you, that we're all going to this great place where the most desirable, the most profitable, the easiest, the most fun, and all the rest of it just happens to be the right thing to do. I ran a TED conference in Lausanne a couple of years ago, and it was demonstrated on the break. We all went outside, and there was all this great high technology stuff. And there were all these rows of electric vehicles, and they all looked really weird. You know, really skinny with the wheels sticking out, and, you know, you sat behind each other, and you sort of really like strange looking vehicles, really nice. And they were empty, no one was there. And all the ones that looked like Ferraris, and there was that new BMW model mock-up there, were swarming with people. You know, so they were the ones that electric cars, beautifully, obviously the right thing to do, still in development, but that's what we want. We don't want to be these hair shirt wearing environmentalists. Now, I wouldn't have known all that as a young boy. I wanted to work in remote and challenging places. So where did I get my inspiration from was people like this, Red Adair. You know, I mean, he was the one putting out all the great fires, and as a young boy, sort of 11, 12 years old, I flipping loved him. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And in many ways, I did a little bit of it. I did work in the oil industry. For 7 years, I worked on oil prospect teams, mostly Pakistan, Saudi, and Iran. My job at the moment is communicating ocean challenges to the rest of the world, and what do we do about it? So I'm the expedition leader for the National Geographic project called Pristine Seas, which is a really great combination of first-class marine science combined with compelling media to make big things happen. We're all connected with the environment, so I'm sure you've seen the news only a month ago of Obama, you know, signing into place the world's largest protected area. You know, it's the world's largest marine reserve. Clinton giving our project support with saying that this is the project to make ocean matters really happen. It's a great project. So we're always managing risks. We love the risks. You know, some of these risks are like little green lights to us, aren't they? If we like the pioneering challenge, if we like to get out there, if we like to be amongst nature, and I think we must, if we're going to have a keen, informed, meaningful opinion of the environment, which is what we're all working in here today, we need to, I think, keep ourselves sharp by being amongst it. We need to get out there and be in it, and also inspire others, particularly the next generation, to get out there. When I look at projects like the Arctic, I work a lot in the Arctic realm, particularly trans-Arctic shipping. There's a lot going on in the Arctic, as we all know. Within all of our lifetimes, a lot of the Arctic will be completely unrecognizable. But for television audiences, and indeed industrial audiences, we need a way to also tell it, beyond showing pictures of this and the challenge, and dare I say it, the wonderful opportunities of trans-Arctic shipping. It really is going to change the shape of trade in the Northern Hemisphere. And I think if this generation, if we get this right, it could be a great example to future generations as to how we adapt sustainably to changes that are occurring that we can't have any effect on at all. We can't stop the Arctic from changing, but how are we going to adapt sustainably and cleverly? This is one of our great challenges, is thinking about the next generation, how they're going to look at us and how we handle it. So I talk about this all the time. I do it on television, I do it all over the world, I do it with, you know, experts in Arctic shipping, with consulting actuaries who are working out the risk for the shipping industry. Well, the way to do that, the way to get people to listen to this story, is for me, again, to go down underneath the ice, and then find all these caves that exist in these flows and swim around in these ice caves whilst telling the story. And again, you've got people listening. So it's just like us in this business here. You know, we need to have people engaged with the environment. I'm always the proponent of ground truthing. We should be out there in it. We should be in it, amongst it, tell others to get in it, amongst it, get the next generation to get in it and amongst it. You can't go wrong. But when we do that, we're going to have a footprint, aren't we? We know we're clean in Antarctica, but we have to be unbelievably clean. Bearing in mind that we've got 13 generators running on this project, we've got helicopters coming out, but somehow you've got to be absolutely clean. And yet to do that, we're going to have a footprint. If you're landing Hercules on skis in remote places by the South Pole or Dash 7s on wheels on natural blue ice runways, operating huge C5s down on the sea ice just outside McMurdo. This is the big intercontinental link between New Zealand and McMurdo. Running twin ship operations with helicopters. We're going to end up with big old bases. I mean, this is McMurdo, the largest base in Antarctica, where I've worked for many years. It's an American base, and there's nothing pretty about that, and yet it's unbelievably clean. So you're constantly aware of being an easy target because we've got a big footprint. And I learned to like it because I was the one being asked the difficult questions. And I used to love it if we had this enormous footprint and aircraft all over the place and diving and labs and HAZCHEMs and waste going out, because it meant it kept us sharp. And I think having a really big footprint is something we should welcome in many ways. So if we look at, say, you've seen this image a number of times, I would expect, this sort of view, where are we going with the world's ocean and its plastic, and what are these great plastic gyres doing up in the Pacific, and is it like a blooming great island? Can you go live on it, or what can we ever do with it? Can we recycle the Pacific gyre? Where does all this blooming plastic come from? It's a big thing. It's a big thing for people to get their head around. We're living on the sea here. There's the great water right there. And we're a maritime country, so we get the sea, and yet it's still hard to think that bottle top or that plastic lighter or whatever that goes in the water in the Howard here can easily end up in one of these great horrible gyres. So how to bring it to life, how to get people interested? We need to somehow bring the issue into where people live. So I did this project here in Zurich. This is the Zurich Museum of Design, and what happened is they collected a vast amount of marine debris from Hawaii, the Baltic Sea and the North Sea, brought it cleaned it up, put it into the museum, and as you can see, laid it out there in the main hall, which is bigger than this place. A whopping great main hall. And then we got the scientists to say, how much is it? So they spent ages with computer models and all the rest of it and working out routes, and you can imagine this whole thing, 3 months, and said, right, that's what goes in the sea every 15 seconds. So, of course, it was a lovely display, and it had a great effect. I reported on it for BBC. I was wondering when I did the radio if I could ever get it off, because they said, you're going to have to do it when the museum's open. I said, it's always a disaster, because kids are crying, dogs are barking, people are talking, too much noise. But it works a treat, because people walk in the door and go silent. And it's a marvelous, marvelous exhibition. And it's led to some good things. This kind of awareness brings up good things. I mean, this interface program is fantastic. It's a joint thing with Zoological Society London Interface. And they go to the Philippines, where you may have seen these images of great middens of plastic on beaches. And you've got 3 or 4 generations of people living on these big terraces of plastic. They go there, get as much as they can, and make carpets. So if you buy a carpet tile for an office these days, it's probably going to be an interface tile, because they're the biggest manufacturer of tiles, carpet tiles in the world. And it's 100% made from recycled plastic, and shortly to be 100% made from plastic from the sea. And you don't buy the tiles. When you've had enough of them, they go back and get recycled and make more tiles. So this all came from the power of engagement with marine debris.